Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Opening up the session for today, we've got an awesome Ask Berklee Global session featuring our guitar department at Berklee. Super excited to have them here. Great to see everybody from around the world. We've got our partners from Malaysia again. It's great to see founder and president of ICOM, Irene Savari, is here. We also have our director from EMOT in Bogota, Colombia, Jose Gregorio. Thanks for joining, Jose.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man, excellent. We've got folks from all over connecting in. Ishar is here from the Ramon School in Israel. Thanks for joining us today. Going to give it another few seconds here to allow people to jump in, and then we'll get things kicked off.
Great.
For those of you that are joining us for the first time, it's great to have you here. This is Ask Berklee Global. We do this session a few times each month. We're here with our Associate Director of Berklee Global, Bree Taliafaros is here, and our manager, Mark Yu, and our assistant, Nick Politi, part of the Berklee Global team. And they're going to drop some links in the chat as we get going. We definitely want you to follow us online. We want you to stay in contact with us if you have any questions about what Berklee is doing in the world, our credit transfer agreements, our Berklee Global partnerships, our Berklee on the Road programs. This is the team to connect in with. Hopefully, at some point, we'll see you out on the road somewhere in the world. I know we were just in Colombia. Bree was just in Ecuador. Mark is heading off to Paris next week. All this week, we were online with our partners in Israel. So pretty much every week of the year, somebody from Berklee is out in the world connecting in with our global community. And the way we do that is with these incredible artist educators that are at Berklee. And for those of you that are familiar with Berklee, you know that at the heart and soul of what we do, it's playing music and performing music and writing music and producing music is the Berklee thing. The cool thing is that we've got some incredible artist educators leading our areas, and the guitar department is at the top of that list. And today we have two incredible people. Our leaders of the guitar department are here. We've got our chair of the guitar department, Dr. Kim Perlak is here. I'm going to throw Kim's link in the chat. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to connect in or learn more about Kim, please go not only read about her work, but you're going to have to go listen to her playing. Kim is a master musician of classical guitar of all genres and contemporary classical in particular. And Kim, it's great to have you here. When I first learned about you and your work, I was just blown away by your artistry and your ability. What you've brought to Berklee as well has been really a revelation, because Berklee, as far as guitar goes, in the history of guitar, we're just about to turn 80 years old this year, 2025, and we're the first place in the world to teach guitar and where you could get a degree. And it was really based on sort of the jazz guitar idiom, and then it evolved from there. But you bring this whole new breath of fresh air to the guitar world. And today we're going to learn about all the work that you and Assistant Chair Sheryl Bailey and your team are doing. So I'm going to pass it over to you and let you introduce the team, and then we'll jump into this. How's that sound?
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, Jason. I mean, it's great to be here with you on Zoom and see everyone. Jason and I have been in many places all over the world together. And I want to say a little bit about what you just said in introducing me, Jason. I really am honored that you see that I brought something to Berklee. And I really feel like Berklee has brought a lot to me. The idea that I am able to come here and learn was kind of an amazing thing for me. I'm the fourth chair ever in the history of the guitar department. It's one of the departments that's been here for such a long time, since the 1960s, 1962. And so it just has this great, amazing tradition. It's such an honor to be a steward of the program. And when I came as a contemporary classical guitarist who's interested in many styles and had played and taught with many great musicians across the stylistic diversity of guitar, I realized I could come to Berklee and learn more about my own music. So what's so exciting to me is that I feel like I'm on the same path as our students in terms of coming and finding what I can open up to because of all of the stylistic diversity and the collaboration in the guitar department. So that's the kind of thing that we try to bring. We have people who are literally the top players in the field, but what distinguishes them even more than that, I think, is that they have an absolute commitment to teaching and to learning and to growing. And so I do feel like in the department at this time, we're all growing together and learning from each other. And so it's so exciting all the time to be there with the community and certainly with all of you, because some of our top students, as you all know, come from all of the places where you are. So thank you for being here. It's great to see your faces, and we're really looking forward to working more tightly with all of you. So to that end, I'd like to introduce Sheryl Bailey. Sheryl Bailey is the assistant chair of the guitar department. She's been assistant chair for a good amount of years now, but actually has been at Berklee for more than 25 years as our faculty member in the guitar department. She's a master of the jazz guitar, and she is a New Yorker through and through, but now come to Boston to really be here with us as well. So Sheryl, jump in here and talk about your impressions of what we're doing, just as an overview before we interview, we bring in Ben and John.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be here with everybody. And this is, for me, really what it's about. Music is universal, connects us all. It is the universal language. I was a student at Berklee in the 80s, and, to me, it just opened up a world of possibilities in terms of understanding harmony and just of course, all the friends and music that you make while you're there. And I came back to be on the faculty in, a long time ago, 2000. And which was, it was interesting to kind of come full circle. And then my people that I looked up to, that I learned so much from, are now my colleagues. It was kind of mind-blowing experience. So we do have a long tradition, but we're not just a jazz school, I mean, I was really interested in jazz, and I think the thing that makes this such an amazing place, which you'll see, I'll show you kind of a list of all our what we call lab opportunities. There's nothing like it anywhere in the world, really, because I was the kind of student who wanted to go deep into that, and you can do that, whether you're into jazz, or you're into funk, or you're into bluegrass, or into classical, but you can also branch out. There's opportunities, which I don't know any place like that. You can get into pedal steel, you can get into playing slide guitar, you can play blues guitar, you can play, you can shred. And that's what makes our place special, and that we're all here learning from each other too. Even faculty, we're still learning and collaborating. So I think, this place has an amazing energy in that way, and there's literally nothing like it anywhere. So we hope that we will see you around campus here in the future, to be part of that community.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think my music changed because I engaged in a lesson swap program that we have with the faculty, and ended up in a duo with a slide electric guitar player, and I started writing my own music. Cheryl's always got folks in her office. When you come to Boston, I have a drum set in my office now. I might be the only classical guitarist at a program that has a drum set in their office. And Cheryl's got a bunch of amps. And we brought into our team two amazing coordinators, Ben Cody and John Alvarado, who are great musicians as well. And so I think having that idea that when you come to the office and you meet with one of us in our quartet, you're really talking to a musician, and who's going to help you find your place as a student. And you're going to have a faculty that's committed to working together. And I think that's what really makes the department run beautifully. So I just want to say hello to Ben Cody. He's our senior coordinator. He's a great rock guitar player. And Ben is the one who knows everything for global partner students. This is going to be your main contact in our office, who's going to help you with all your transfer credits. Ben, do you want to say hello briefly to everybody?
Yes, yeah, I'm excited to be here. How's everyone doing?
And Ben is also an
Mhm.
alum of Berklee, so he's really good at helping you navigate your major choices and electives and that type of thing.
Looking forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yeah. Ben, would you please put your email in the chat so that the partners can contact you if they need to?
Absolutely, I'll put
That'd
them
be
right
great.
now.
And then John is in his first year here, and is an incredible classical guitarist. He is our coordinator, and so really sets up everything on the ground. If you're a global student, international students sometimes have a challenge because of your ability to work in the United States, but you can work for us. There are a number of jobs throughout Berklee, and they're all amazing, but we are particular to people who work in the guitar office. It's a super fun job. It is a great hang, actually. It's we have a big office. When you come in, each of us have small individual offices, but there's also a big section where people hang out and faculty can meet with students, and there's always food. So if we will definitely feed you when you come to Boston. But John, if you'd like to say hi, is the person who supervises all our work study and works on our day-to-day advising on labs and ensembles and all kinds of things. This is John.
Hi, everyone. Great to meet you all.
Great. And the other thing we've tried to set up really since the pandemic, it really reminded us how important it is for us all to be connected. And so what we have now is we have a podcast that's seasonal called Berklee Guitar Department Coffee Talk. And Sheryl and Ben and I get on Zoom. It's a live conversation. There's no script. And we try to interview every single faculty member that will do it with us, as well as other chairs of majors that students might want to choose. We have Rob Jasko from MP&E was just on our podcast. Chris Davis from Jazz and Gender Justice, one of the institutes, she'll be on in 2 weeks. And we just go through deans, chairs, anyone you may have to interact with, topics that students find scary, like ear training. And then we'll also bring in alums. So all of that exists on our virtual campus. And in a second, I'm going to hand it over to Sheryl, and she's literally going to walk you through our welcome packet to the department, our landing page on our website where you can find everything, especially if you've forgotten anything that we're talking about, you can access it there. And then our virtual campus, which now includes our Instagram, where we would love to feature global partner work. Ben has become a social media expert and got us up to 47,000 followers for Instagram, which is pretty great for a department. We also have YouTube with a lot of practice video and concert footage. And we have our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and also on our YouTube channel. So there's a lot of ways for us to connect, whether it's live through a live stream of an event we're doing on campus, through one of our amazing faculty that will come to one of your areas, or through the virtual campus. And we just want to keep that going and make sure it's working for all of you. In addition to that, we do have a book that we published 2 years ago now called Berklee Guitar Theory. It's still getting out there in distribution, so Jason and his team will help get it to you. It is the absolute guide to our curriculum that every student takes. We did it through Berklee Press, and that way we felt like it could get out to all of you a lot easier than having to have a login and have old handouts. So that was a huge project that I engaged with Sheryl and Larry Bayonne, who was our chair for 40 years, and Mick Goodrick. And we put this together with all the collaboration of all the faculty. So we'll make sure that you all have that as well. And so that's the long intro of everyone. And Sheryl, I'm going to hand it off to you so that you can start walking people through. And then as any of you have questions, someone on the global team will help us see them, and then we'll be happy to address them. Thanks, everyone. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, so I just put the link to the podcast in the chat on one that's kind of a universal place to get it. But if you have Apple phone, Apple Podcasts, you'll find it there. And also I'll show you our YouTube page. You can find it there. So I'm going to just show you. I'll try to be quick because I'd really love to hear from you, your questions. And I know we have people that are teachers and students here, so I'll try to cover ground for everybody. But I'm just going to share with you some things, and this is all stuff you can find online. And maybe you've been to this page before. This is our berklee.edu Guitar Department page, which you can get all the information about us. So this is a great video here of, sort of a general welcome video. And of course, here are our names. If you forget us, forget our name, who is that person? Oh yeah, okay, you can go there and find us. And we have, I think, 54 faculty. You can go here and explore them. So it's a lot of folks, and as I said, all styles. And so we've created this spot so you can get to know us. Of course, when you come here, we meet with you and we get to know you, and we know our faculty really well. And that's why we do that, because we want to get you to the right people so that you can reach your goals, because that's really important to us. But if you go here at the bottom is what we call our virtual guitar campus. And we developed this definitely through the pandemic, but it still serves us to, obviously you can find the podcast there. Just click on that and that'll take you. And actually Jason's been on our show in the past. And even though I'm part of the podcast, every show I learn something and I'm amazed by it. So I'm not being biased, it's actually true. But anyway, so I recommend this, and I'll just show you some of these links here. This one is new, and I'm excited about this. Once you get your Berklee email in your student here, you can log into this page, which is our resources for our final exam, which we call the proficiency. It's an amazing resource because it's the only time maybe ever you get the questions and the answers to a test. And so, when you come here, we'll show you, you'll have complete access to this. But we've begun this video series of all of the proficiency material. So meaning you can go in here and watch exactly what the answer to the question is, if you want to think about it that way. But, so each level you take this final exam, there's always a question about scales, question about triads, question about 4-part chords, and then there's a performance section, which is obviously your chance to make music there. But anyway, I'll just give you a sense of this. For instance, we have the whole video of the proficiency. So for instance, the scales. Now I don't know how my sound is okay.
It's working.
So for instance, that's an example of one of the modes for the level 2 proficiency. And we feature all kinds of guitars on here. Here are all the triads on level 2. That's Dave Fusinski, Professor Fusinski. And that's my little telly, my little parts guitar telly. Anyway, so the whole test is here for reference. All the triads, all the arpeggios for triads and 7th chords. So that's a new resource we're really excited to offer here. But of course, all the handouts that we would have are available here on our .edu site. Once you have your OnePass, you're welcome to it. And the other thing, oh yeah, Kim.
Cheryl, so there was a question that I just wanted to jump in and answer. So this is kind of great because once you have your Berklee email address, you can access this.
Yes. So that would be on this menu over here. Once you get that, you would, if you're not logged in with that, this menu doesn't open up.
Exactly. So if you don't have a Berklee email address and a password, that's why we developed the book So Cheryl, could you
Yes.
just jump out and cross-reference the book really quick?
Yeah,
Because the book is a written version of everything that Cheryl just showed you. So it's almost like, it's the same information, it's just in a different format. The difference is that when you have the Berklee One Pass and the email address, the final exam is split up into different levels. And the book doesn't do that. But what the book does is it gives you all of the information with all the same fingerings and everything in a written format. So it's a digital and written.
Yeah, and I'm actually at the Hal Leonard page, and you can find, actually, we did an interview with Chair Emeritus Larry Bayonne about the book, which for me, it was very interesting. Having been a student of Berklee and taken proficiencies, to know the history of it and the why of it. So if you go, we can put that link in the chat, and then you can watch that interview. I found it really fascinating to be a part of that. So I'll show you some of these other things that are important to us. This is our YouTube page. And all our social media is Berklee Guitar Department. And what we have here are these different playlists. So here's also another playlist of proficiency guides. These are, on different topics that kind of span all. If you're a performance major, there are 8 levels of proficiency. So that's there. And we also have the podcast here, the visual version. You can see all my versions of COVID hair. So I'd actually prefer that you listen to it, but you can watch it. And look, there's so many episodes. I would recommend too, there is an episode in here about, there's Jason. You can watch Jason. About doing the ensemble department audition. This is a great one too, this panel on rhythm with Tim Miller, John Finn, and David Gilmore. Really great. Anyway, we could, that's a video about when you're entering audition, but there is one in here. Maybe we can find it and put it in the chat about
Absolutely.
about the ensemble audition, the ratings audition, which is a little different topic, which I'm happy to, one thing I always say to everybody, I went through Berklee as a student and then as faculty and as chair. So I've experienced everything. So I feel like I can be a good resource to answer questions about what is that like, or what is that about?
Yeah. Cheryl, I bet you that Ben can find that episode and throw it in the chat right now. And then if you want to continue with your overview, I'm going to guarantee that there's going to be questions about some of these specifics.
Oh, totally. So anyway, I recommend checking this out. There are faculty performances, there are interviews with faculty, there are live concerts. We have student ensembles, which is cool because, eventually you'll be featured on there. So a lot of resources here. We also have a great Instagram page where we've been featuring our faculty here. We feature students. We announced, this is a great video with super low green.
You're going to see a lot on this. What we do is we are reminding people who are currently enrolled to sign up for things in any creative way we can. And this is where, if there are things that'll live stream for the global partners, part of our community, we're going to remind you here and put the links in the link tree in the bio. What you're seeing with these black cards during registration and the audition season, we decided to highlight faculty in the old way that one of our amazing supporters, Dario, used to have baseball cards in a pack of strings of guitarists. So we decided to do a little tribute to that and recreate it and put people out. There's a QR code if you actually click on the photo of every teacher. So if you see someone and they look interesting and you want to know who that is, or you see the name, the way Instagram kind of cut it off. So you'll see the name and a QR code. It'll take you right to that person's website, and you can learn more about all the faculty that way. And for those of you who are coming here from somewhere else, that'd be a good way to feel like you know people a little bit. like take a look at their bios and find their coffee talk. You can hear their voice. You can see what they're like as a person and cross-reference that with their playing and see if that person might be a good fit for you as a teacher.
But Kim, I just realized looking at this page, this part here that I stopped at, look how many styles are represented.
I
Just
know.
one little section.
I know, it's so many styles, so many different people, so many generations. You'll see in the guitar department, there are people who like the student of the student. We have Jim Kelly who's been here for 50 years teaching, and his students and their students all on the faculty together. So
Well,
it
here's
really
some, well,
shows you.
there's some right here. We had Matt Stevens. I
Yeah.
think it's just one of the features. Yeah, there's one. There's an
Yeah.
example right there. And Colin Sapp as well.
I know, it's really true. So I think that's a really good overview. Cheryl, do you want to unshare and see if there's some questions, and then we can go
Absolutely.
from there?
I'd love that. Yeah.
Does anyone have a question that jumps to mind? Or Jason, do you have things that you think would like right away at the forefront be on someone's mind?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I know, a number of the folks who are, I'm seeing a lot of our partner schools are actually of Ecuador. We've got Colombia, we've got Malaysia, we've got Greece, we've got the Dominican Republic. So we've got academic leaders and teachers from all these different locations. One of the things that is important, I think, for them to know, and this is a great opportunity, is what your expectations are of their students who are going through the credit transfer pathway. So they're completing the program with a global partner, and they arrive in Boston, and they've got to come to the guitar department and do their placement audition. What happens when they come to your department?
Okay, so I'm going to start, and then Cheryl, I'll hand it to you too, because I know you'll have some additional insights. So when students arrive, we meet all the students when they come. Specifically for global partners, I'm going to talk about the before and then the arrival. So before, it's really important to us that the students have a common foundation, no matter what your entry point to Berklee is. That's why we've made this book, and that's why we have all these proficiency resources. So if you're a global partner teacher or a director of a program, and it seems challenging to get the resources, like to get into the website, for example, to get the way the breakdown of the final exam is, anything like that, ask Jason and we'll work with you to make sure that we get you everything updated and that you can have access to all of the same materials. The reason that we do this is, number one, we have this belief that if you know the guitar deeply, it opens up doors and avenues to all styles. So some of you may have learned, as I did, and it's this kind of funny coming up, like in school, I was this like traditional classical guitarist because that's what was offered. But my first guitar teachers as a kid were the folk players from Arlo Guthrie's band, who, if you know American roots music, is Woody Guthrie's son, and he lived in our town. And so that's who I grew up playing with. So I had this kind of broader sense of the guitar and what I played, but my education was only one way. So then when I wanted to branch out into other styles, it felt really scary. It felt really difficult. So Berklee has made this commitment early on to say, like, what are all of the fundamental vocabulary things that you should be proficient at on the fretboard, so that you have all the stuff, and then you could go deep into the nuances and the culture and the sensibilities of every style. So that's why we want everyone to have that common proficiency vocabulary. And if there's one thing that holds students back when they come to transfer into Berklee after completing a global partner, it's not feeling comfortable and familiar with that material in a way that would help them get to the next level. So that would be great. And we're also happy to work with you in any way that would be helpful to get the students to feel good about that material. So what happens is they'll come in, everyone's assigned an audition time and day and for placement, and they'll come in to the guitar office. We're on the 4th floor of 921 Boylston Street. And it's like it kind of is like a big festive kind of occasion. It's super loose. Everyone, of course, is nervous because they're going to play. But we try to keep it nice and relaxed. There's a warm-up room you go into, and then there are many little classrooms that have 2 faculty from our department in the classroom. And what you're going to do is play a piece that you've prepared, and then the teachers are going to ask you to sight read a little bit. You'll get the reading material a little bit, so it's not quite sight reading, but you'll get a little bit in advance. And they're going to ask you to some other questions and that gives you an ensemble rating that allows us to place you in an ensemble. And I'm going to let Sheryl tell you about ensemble ratings because you're so good at that. But then if you're a global partner, you have an extra meeting, you're going to go and see Ben. And he'll make sure that your faculty member that you are assigned to in the first semester knows that you're a global partner student. And in your very first guitar lesson, they're going to take you through the proficiency material in the levels that are on the website, the material that is in the book, and see where you feel most comfortable to be placed. So even if you've taken a number of private lessons, you may or may not place into that level when you come to the college, because we just want everyone to be successful. If you don't place into the level you expect, it doesn't mean that it would take you more time to graduate. It just means that we want you to take those additional levels while you're here, and we'll work with you to make your timeline work. So you're not boxed out of a major of your choice or anything like that. It's just a matter of like, what material do we really want to make sure that you go over? And the truth is that like, it probably would be great for Boston students to have to do this at a certain point, to make sure that they kind of reinforce the fundamentals that we know will help you to be successful. The other thing that we do is we do a version of this meeting actually with the incoming students in groups of 5 or 10. I'll come in and talk about a mindset that we'd love for everyone to have, which we call our leadership mindset. Regardless of your role, we want you to feel like you are acting like the type of person you would want to work for and work with, and to try to get rid of this idea of good and bad, familiar and unfamiliar, and bring it to familiar and unfamiliar, so that you feel empowered to ask questions when you don't know the answer, that you try to let go of things that feel stressful or competitive, and just kind of keep coming back to us and letting us support you in learning the things that you really want to learn, and not being afraid to say, I have some gaps, or I have some strengths and I'd like to work on them in a different way. And so that's what we do. It takes a while. You're going to be with us for an hour or two, and then we'll get you in the right place. Sheryl, do you want to talk briefly about the ensemble rating audition, what it's like, what it's for, and then how the placement in private teaching works?
Yeah, I mean, we use that opportunity. So some people get confused with the ensemble rating and the guitar level. They are separate things, but we use that opportunity of the ensemble rating audition to lure you in, to meet you and hang out with you and get to know you. So it works out perfectly. So you'll come in and you'll do your ratings audition, and then you meet with Kim and I, and we hang out and we talk and we get to know each other. And but I had to go through this as a student too, the ratings audition, and it's really for the ensemble department to assess your skills to get you in the right place. And my advice about it always is it's a snapshot, or maybe even a benchmark. So you'll get 4 numbers for each skill. So you'll come in and you'll play a prepared piece, and then you'll do some improvising. So you'll be with an ensemble faculty and a guitar faculty. And so you play your prepared piece, you'll do some improvising on a groove or whatever, maybe you have something in mind, a tune, do a little sight reading, and then you can play in any style ensemble that you want. So if you're a groove player, you tell them what styles you want to be placed in. And that's really for the ensemble department, really. We're not involved in that per se, But as I said, we partner with the ensemble department so we can have that opportunity to meet with you. And so they give you, the numbers are, oh my goodness, do I remember them
I'll
now?
help you if you, I'm here to help. Don't worry.
Oh my God,
Different-
what's the,
instrumental
reading.
skills.
Sorry. No, it's reading is the first,
Reading.
right? Reading, instrumental skill. So that means how you get around the fretboard, fluidity, all those things. Then improvisation.
Mhm.
And then the last one is called stylistic interpretation. And that really means like if you're playing funk, it was funky, or you're playing swing, it's swinging, or you're rocking, it's rock. You know what I mean? And then they kind of average that out. And that's your doorway into all the ensembles. And it's really, like I said, it's just assessing skills. And it's not something that's set in stone because it's optional. I recommend doing it, re-audition every semester, and your numbers always go up. And so that's where I say if you use it as a benchmark, because if you come in and you're reading, and I know a lot of guitar players don't have a lot of experience, so you might have a 1 or a 2, and that's not, it's not set, like I said, it's not set in stone. So to me, I say those are pointing to your skills to work on, and that's an amazing gift, actually. So it's just saying, okay, work on your reading, and you're going to go do that, right? And then when you re-audition, your number goes up, and that's like, oh, good job, right? Like I think that's kind of an amazing process, and I mean, I wish I could get that being out playing professionally, like those moments where you say, wow, I really worked on this one skill I didn't feel strong in. And then, a year later, you're getting feedback that your hard work is paying off. So that's my best advice for using those for your development. And I think that's how you should think of them. Use them as just a roadmap for your development.
I think it's right. And I think it's just important to know that it's only for placement. You have to think about scale here. Like the ensemble department runs 450 ensembles a semester. And we in the guitar department also have a set of ensembles. And there's probably about 25 of those in addition to about 100 different labs. So it's just saying like, this is kind of where you fall, where you would feel comfortable. It's just a tool to help you choose the right class for you. So you don't have to like worry about getting in a class that makes you uncomfortable or that's too easy for you in certain ways. The other thing is that we know that not everyone is like, depending on your style, your numbers will be different. Certain styles will like, oh, improv, no problem, but reading, oh no, and so we want you to get better at everything. And so it's not a judgment, it's just a placement. And then the same thing is true with the faculty. So we want you to get to know the faculty as best you can in any way you can, through our virtual campus, through ways that you might meet people. And then that first time we meet you, when you first come, Sheryl is really good at this. We'll interview you and ask you if you have preferences or what you play, what you might want to do. And then we try to put you with a person we think you'll like. And then after that, you can choose to study with anyone you'd like to study with. The curriculum is completely set up for you to do whatever it is that you feel is best for you. It's a lot like the world in that way. It's more pressure on you than in a conservatory in a certain way. Because if you go to a traditional music school, there might be one teacher, or you get assigned to a person and you get assigned to a stylistic track and you stay there. And there's a really beautiful mentorship quality that then can come with that. At Berklee, you can choose to do that, or you can choose to have a really wide palette of style. You could choose a different teacher every semester. You could choose to stay with the same person. Generally, people do a mix. You can also say, we've had people come in and say like, okay, I want to study jazz, classical music, and shred guitar. I'm like, okay, great. You can do that, because what will happen is you'll have private lessons, you'll have labs, which are like small group private lessons, and you'll have ensembles, either in the ensemble department or the guitar department. And Sheryl, in a minute, it would be great if you could just share that page that has just for the visual. We literally have over 100 classes, I think 150 classes just from the guitar department in that small group. So everything from Joni Mitchell Jimi Hendrix, Joe Satriani, to spontaneous composition, modern writing, bebop guitar, anything you can think of, we have a class for that. And we really want you to feel like you can come and shape. One of my favorite things is when we have alumni who are interviewed or reviewed and they say like, somehow that person infused a brand new sound into bluegrass or into independent rock or into jazz. And when we know the person, we know how that happened because we know that they spent time with different friends and different teachers in those styles. And so it's really cool for us to see how you all end up changing music because of what you're able to come and take advantage of studying here. So we are here to support you. I put that we have snacks all the time, and it was it's not really a joke because we also know that the best thing that we can do is take care of you. And so we are famous on campus for being the place where there's always if you're a faculty member, there's a whole range of coffee options. We have a coffee bar that also, because we have vocalist teachers in there, includes tea and honey and things. And for students, we just have a full range of snacks. And at different times of the year, we have pizza. We want to take good care of you when you're here and make you feel like, you're kind of at home when you're at the guitar department.
That's very cool. Very cool. From a practical perspective, there is some things logistically that
Yeah.
global partner students are interested in knowing because they're completing ideally 4 semesters of private instruction at their partner school. And those students that are coming to Berklee that are looking to do professional music or performance as a major are going to have at least 2 to 4 more levels that they need to complete in order to satisfy their degree. And so what you're sharing about the proficiencies, what you're sharing about the new guitar book, the text with all the curriculum, it's really critical that the partners get access to this to kind of A/B it against what they're currently teaching for their students in the Berklee track to ensure that when they do arrive and they're showing up at the guitar department to do their placement audition and they're meeting with Ben to go through and make sure that they've, they're getting benchmarked against that. It's like they know the information, that they can execute the information because they're going to have to take 4 levels of instrument and they're going to take 4 private instructions at Berklee anyway. But if they're doing professional music or they're doing performance, we need them to be able to be placing in at level 5.
Well, here's a cool thing. Yeah, here's a cool thing about that. That's true. And I think that's number 1. We want everyone to feel prepared.
Yes.
Number 2, this is the way we think about it. Everyone does have to take 4 semesters of private lessons at Berklee in Boston on the ground. That's just, no matter what your major is, you're going to do that. So people always ask, well, what happens if I place, what if I want to be an MP&E major and I place into level 3? You still take those 4 lessons, but you do not have to take a final exam. So there's 2 things. There's the lesson and the final exam. Even if, as a global partner, say you come and you want to be a performance major and you place into level 5, there's these 4 lessons that you've placed out of because you've taken them, but we don't right away put that transfer credit on your transcript. We hold it because if you would like to take the lesson without the test, you can do that and count that lesson as a general elective. So you don't lose the opportunity to take 8 semesters of lessons or 6 semesters of lessons. What happens is that you keep those lessons. We've given you credit for the test. If it doesn't fit in your degree plan to take those lessons that you've been given credit for, that's fine. We'll give you what we call credit by exam, but we're going to hold on to that because you might say, I would just love, instead of taking a general elective class, I would just love to take another lesson with this teacher because it would be best for me. You get to do that. We call that an unleveled lesson.
That's very cool.
The other thing that's cool is that, okay, for pro music and songwriting and music education, you take 6 semesters of private lessons. Those last 2, 5 and 6, you can choose to take the proficiency or you can do a project with your teacher. So for that, yeah, it's kind of a newer thing. You can also say you have a friend who's a vocalist and they're in pro music and they really want to have guitar lessons. those 5 and 6 lessons for songwriting, music education, and pro music can be taken on the guitar if you would like to as an unleveled lesson. So that's also great. We have a lot of
Great.
students who do that. So if you're a pro music major or songwriting and you come in and you don't place into level 5, you place into level 4, you can use those 2 lessons are like you can take you have to take 4 semesters of private lessons, but you're not behind. You can either choose to double up. You can, and these are all like super technical questions that we can go over, or you can take, those last 2 lessons, you can take if you placed in a level 4, you could take your level 4 lesson as that sort of like 5th lesson. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you're not really behind. Even if you're a performance major and you don't place into level 5 and you have 4 semesters that you have to take on campus, and there's another 4, but you haven't placed and you need to graduate in 3 years, you can come and talk to Cheryl and I, and we can do a special chair approval to double up.
Got it.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to work around it. It might be hard to decipher everything I just said if you're taking notes, but you can come and talk to us about it. We're happy to meet with you and make it work for you.
I think this is a great opportunity for folks here, partners, happy to bring you on, ask questions. You've got the chair and the assistant chair of the guitar department. So Ignacio has got a question here. In your experience teaching guitar, what other challenges have you encountered? What innovative approaches, additional resources have you shared, have you introduced, and how are you adapting your teaching strategies? Yeah, how has it evolved? What you're teaching in guitar?
Wow. It's
You need
evolved.
another
I mean,
session.
this is a good question for Cheryl too, because Cheryl, you've been here for a couple decades. I think one of the big things we learned in the last 5 years, there are 2 big things, I think. Number 1 was because I came into the chair, we had a joke that every time the chair changes, we look at the curriculum, and it happens to be before me every 30 years. So, yeah, so yeah, but we really
Wow.
did a review, and I think, and we actually included an interview with the past chair in the book because we thought it was so powerful. Like, because we're really asking ourselves, like, what works? What curriculum will help everyone be the most versatile and be able to meet the challenges of things coming up? And I think we're really happy with the core curriculum. So we did that. The whole idea of the virtual campus that Cheryl showed you, that was new, just to make sure that we're really living in a global world. I mean, we always were, but the truth is now we have the opportunity coming out of the pandemic with those resources to be more connected.
Yeah.
And then we're always working with a balance of embracing technology and also really making sure that the embracing of technology doesn't take away from the fundamentals on the instrument that outlive the changes in technology. So we have a number of recording classes that are labs, that are small groups, that we have an effects lab and a music tech lab for guitar. One of our faculty just renewed it. We got a massive grant from Performance Technology, and it's really beautiful. There's actually a little YouTube video, the one that has David Fuzinski with the double neck guitar. There's a little video of him testing out some new things that are in there. We've formed new relationships with different guitar companies and gear companies that we think will be really helpful to students for things they need to travel. We have also partnered with the writing division. We had an 8-year collaboration with film scoring for guitar for film scoring, like how to play guitar for commercial engagements with television, film,
Yeah.
other types of recording that are outside of audio recording. And then we're working with the college as they sort of look at, like, how do we need to think about AI? How do we need to think about other things?
Yeah.
And what comes back more and more is the more that technology expands, now there's also a resurgence of people really wanting to hear live music. And we're finding from a lot of our students that that's the work they're getting. The newest thing that we're developing because of what happened professionally for students after the pandemic is Broadway and playing shows.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've been
It's
seeing that blow up
unbelievable.
for sure.
I would say, and Cheryl, I think you could back me up on this. When we try to hear from as many alums as we can. That's one of the most solid, common, like full-time work opportunities right out of graduation. We've had a lot of students come back and say that that's been really effective for them. So we're developing that. We also reconnected with some of our alums. We're doing that. You'll see our alum Tyler Larson from Music is Win, which is a YouTube channel that has millions of hits. He's been working with one of our faculty, Tomo Fujita, on helping us get our social media together. He's been great. We're looking at opportunities to learn from him and what he's learned. So it's like a combination of sort of reviewing our traditional curriculum, bringing in faculty who have been more recently out working and seeing what they're doing, and then listening to alumni coming back, and always balancing that tradition and technology is basically what we're working on.
So the
Cheryl,
approaches are just coming, I've, my, experience watching the evolution of the guitar department at Berklee, it's just a natural matter of course, because of the diversity in the teaching team there, that it's always evolving. It's not stagnant. It's not a small guitar department by any means.
yeah, it's
You've got a
true.
large group of professionals working in the industry, so there's always this convection of growth and things being brought forward for you as the leaders of the area to determine, like, does this have a place in the curriculum, and how you create space for those teachers to kind of open up these new learning opportunities for the students.
I think we're very fortunate in that, because I really believe that a lot of our alums and just in the guitar community in general, people who've gone to school here feel like it's a home for them, and people in the guitar community professionally feel like it's a hub. I'm very respectful of that. When Mick Goodrick, who had been on our faculty for so many years, really a founding member of our curriculum, passed away, we had a large gathering and a big concert for him, and it really drove home for me. And I think all of us, like, how much that connection is really necessary, and when we welcome people who from the outside, Tosin Abasi came as our guest, and it was like, wow, it's just such a great thing to come to the Berklee Guitar Department. So we're very respectful of that sense of it. And I also think it makes it really cool, because, like, I love that I'm home on a weekend and I get a text like, I know you don't recognize this number, but I'm the manager of John McLaughlin and John Schofield, and they were wondering if they could borrow an amp. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that stuff
come on,
that
swing
happens all
by,
the time.
and
Yeah.
grab an amp. You're
There's
always
somebody
welcome.
around there.
Yeah. And actually there was. I was like, yeah, we have work study, they can stop by and
What do
give
you
you an
need?
amp, like, when do you want to bring it back,
Yeah.
And so I just like that idea that we are that place.
Mhm.
And I think that helps us stay vibrant, and it helps people feel connected, because then if you're a Berklee guitar player, regardless of your entry point, whether it's global or coming through Boston or being online or being in Valencia, you're in the world, and that's a connector for you.
Right.
And I think that's really great, like to the highest echelons in any way you look at it. And we also respect every path equally. So whether you become a producer or a performer or music education or music therapy, we just believe that everyone's success is equally valued. And I think that also helps
Right.
being out there. I want to say something before handing it to Cheryl about Jorge's question in the chat.
Yeah.
Sight reading. Because Cheryl, I think you can speak to this too. We have thought about reading so much. One thing that we do is on the proficiency, we no longer have sight reading, it's just reading. And that's one thing, Jason, that we could get to you, all the global partners, if they want to, every semester. This is kind of cool. We now have a sight reading committee in the faculty, and they write sight reading examples every
Right.
semester. And we give them to our students 2 weeks before the final exam. And there's like, 4 examples for every level. And
Sure.
then the teachers who are giving the exam just pick one of the examples. So you have 2 weeks to look at it, because in real life, reading is more like what you've expected to see, right? And so we can do that. We also have on our website there, if you have access to it, past examples. So you can see, but we could work it out, Jason, so that we send you the current ones if everyone wants to use the same ones all the time.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that this would be great.
the other
Just to
thing
also
that-
speak what your approach is when you're writing these, because obviously there's very fretboard guitaristic things that
yeah,
are not necessarily like if I write something for somebody and say,
sure.
here, just play this. There are things that require certain nuances that you all are teaching that are baked into the
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, what's baked in there is the reading for each level relates to what the content of the rest of the test is. So if level 1 is major scales and chords of the major scale, then the reading is about that. So it's
Right.
kind of cool. So everything connects. It's not something random. So
Yeah, and it's faculty of every style
Yeah.
doing it too. And so and the other cool thing that we started was we started these boot camps. You'll see it on our Instagram. There's like a little sign up for this, where you can go and work on different topics on the proficiency. And, the time zones might be weird, but one thing that's kind of cool is that there's a Zoom connection option. And maybe I don't know how logistically we could make this work, but I'm open to trying it if Cheryl and Ben and John are into it, because why couldn't we let global partners come to the tutoring sessions?
We could. I mean, we
I
could
mean,
easily open that up if you all had an appetite, even for some of the faculty members from the partner schools, just to have it like an eyes on sort of what your approach is, and then
yeah,
they can figure out how to adapt it. That would be really interesting. Joelle from the conservatory in the Dominican Republic is asking for access to these videos and this material, and maybe there's a way. I know we were talking as we're building out the teacher training for our global partners this year. There might be a way that we can build an environment that is gated for these educators
yeah.
to be able to see this. I think that's something I can talk with our colleagues in the techno part of Berklee to figure out what might be possible.
we could maybe
You
make
know,
a curated playlist, private playlist on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
a
It's true. I mean,
something.
yeah, because Cheryl's right. YouTube would be good. And then also, Cheryl, you had it working through our platform, our Canvas platform too, right?
Yeah, what I'm hoping to do is like with our global partner faculty members is get them logins. That's the dream, so that there's like an environment, because we've actually, the ear training department has done this, the harmony department has done this, and so like curating a library for teacher training for the actual academic deans and the teachers at the school, so that as they're looking at the Berklee curriculum and all the different areas that are related to core music that's transferring into Berklee, that they're getting really accurate references of what you all are doing and what your expectations are.
We could also find a way somehow to have a big giant faculty meeting like once a year or twice a year.
Yeah, I think we have to do it regionally. Actually, we've been talking
Yeah,
about that just because like folks are all over the
time
planet.
zones. Time
And we
zones
are
are
trying to
tough.
get the summit together, but once for those of you that are here that are maybe not familiar, we have a new president at Berklee beginning in January.
Mhm.
And so once President Jim Lucchese gets on board and kind of gets into the groove, I suspect that soon we'll be pulling all of our partners together and um, bringing them all to campus. There's been so much change at Berklee over the past couple of years, so it's time to bring everybody back together as we look to the future.
I love it. Cheryl, did you have anything on your mind when it came to that? How has guitar changed over time? Do you have a few thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think you guys stated it clearly. I mean, playing of the instrument doesn't change, and that has to be there in whatever you do. I mean, technology is always changing. People used to listen to, vinyl. That was the only way you could produce your music. And then 8-track tapes, cassettes, CDs, but still, great playing and great musicianship is the core. Now, I would say, we have some students that are, some faculty that are actually using, video in a really interesting way in social media. As Berta Rojas, our classical maestra, says, if someone has to make a video, they're not going to send you a video with a lot of mistakes in it. They're going to work on it till they perfect it and then send it to you. So that's been one kind of interesting, that first, definitely when I was a student, we didn't have access to be able to produce video like that. And so I think that's one thing that I think has been an interesting, but still you're going to have to work on your playing to get the content there, and then deliver it through whatever medium that is. And who knows what it's going to be 5 or 10 years from now.
I agree. I think also Sheryl and I are really open to working with new things. Like we're partnering with our friends in music business, and I'm going to be the first student of our assistant chair in music business to reshape some of my online profile. And then we're going to take it and create okay, how could faculty look at the new ways of sharing music? How could students look at it? How is it different for those of us in different generations? And I think we just have these opportunities to work together and kind of be in it with you all as students. And we're excited about that kind of thing. So we're working on that. That's going to be a new project for the new year.
That's awesome. We're at the top of the hour. This has been incredibly informative. Lots of great information shared in the chat. For those of you from our global partners, as Kim and Sheryl have noted, you have contacts. You have contacts in the Berklee Global team with Bree and Mark, but also with Ben in the team in the guitar department as well. So just feel free to reach out. We've got just ping us in that WhatsApp group, or just write to us if you want to just send an email, and we'll make the connections as we go forward here. And please get this book. We'll work with you to get access to copies of this book, because it really aligns and outlines, illustrates the leveling of what the Berklee guitar methodology is. And you're gonna want to take a look at this, and again, take a look at what you're teaching in your programs. Now's the time to kind of begin looking at upgrading and what you have in your classes, what your private instructors are using, and then what you're doing in your labs and ensembles as well. And we're happy to continue this conversation with the team in the guitar department after this. For those of you that are students, follow them. Get on their websites. I tell folks this all the time. The guitar department, any of the departments, the faculty are listed there. You should be checking them out on their websites. Most professors have their own independent websites. They're on social media. Learn who those teachers are, because as you're looking to come to Berklee, now's the time. Go shopping. Check out who those folks are that you would love to be studying with, and learn more about what's on offer in this incredible area. It's a great time to be playing music. There's a lot going on in all these different genres and spaces, and we're hoping to see many more of you coming through the pipeline. There were a couple of questions about scholarships and things like that, and we don't have the detail handy. I'll just say this: among our students at Berklee, some of the very best students are guitar students. There's a few names I could drop in here for you to check out. They are just brilliant musicians that are students, especially from our partner school in the Dominican Republic, Amaury Cabral, who's, I think, in his last semester, is he's like one of the people that is a go-to example of exceptional musicianship, and just, great student as well. And there are many more that you'll probably see featured on the guitar social media and guitar department website. Kim, Sheryl, thank you for your time. Thank you for all this information.
Thank you.
Folks, check out Coffee Talk. Go in and hang in those sessions and learn about all the professors and all the other people in the Berklee community that they're working with, and get hip to what's going on.
Jason, I just want to say quickly, we love our secondary guitarists as well. So if you all have students who are primarily pianists, drummers, vocalists, there are a couple things they can do right away. If they want to jump right into the guitar curriculum with us, They can take Guitar for the Non-Principal online at Berklee Online. I have a course called Guitar Fundamentals at Berklee Online. Jason is looking at it up right now. So if they take my course, Guitar Fundamentals, Berklee Online, it is a course equivalent to ILGT 115 Guitar for the Non-Principal, which is the gateway into the guitar curriculum for non-guitar principals. And so they can take it online before they come. When they come to school, if they feel like they have more experience than a beginner, they can audition with Cheryl to place out of that class. It's a really fun, little easy placement. And then they are in as well, and they are welcome to take our labs and ensembles, secondary lessons for certain majors, and we are thrilled to work with them. We have amazing non-principals as well as principals. So I just want to throw that out there. We welcome all guitarists.
Just throwing in some of these links here, just to remind people who might have joined late, to go check out your websites to hear your music
Great,
as well. And thank you so much for this great session.
great.
If I don't see you before the end of the semester, we're careening to the end here in Boston. I'm sure other partners are also getting to the end of their terms, but have a great rest of your semester. Keep making great music, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get out in the world and get to some of these partners in the year ahead.
That would be great. Thank you, Jason. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you are in the world. Cheers.